the people that are mourning the loss of Charlie Kirk are doing it in a peaceful way.
Yes.
But what I'm starting to see is that there are now people that are trying to agitate these peaceful protests yet again, and they're trying to now, so that they can pin the narrative or spin the narrative that, look, the right isn't as peaceful as they claim they are.
Yeah, that's their
because
job.
you see that there was the kid stomping through the memorial at Turning Point USA. There was just a video that came out of a group of woke people trying to disrupt a Charlie Kirk vigil. You're starting to, and that's, when I say woke people, I'm literally quoting the headline. I have not, yes, this is, if we could pull this up and play this counter. This guy was arrested. This guy was stepping outside of the Turning Point USA headquarters, the memorial for Charlie Kirk.
My reaction is to say, like, his parents must be ashamed of him. But for the amount of adult people I've seen celebrating it, he might be indoctrinated by his parents.
They might have driven him here.
Let's play that clip real quick, Connor.
Look at, oh my God.
And this is my favorite part, is when people go, nope, go fuck yourself, stupid. Boom, to the ground, and then arrested. And this goes just to the other, if you saw the video of the girl from Texas Tech who was dancing around and was cheering that Charlie Kirk had been shot in the head. She then allegedly resisted arrest, I believe, and then assaulted someone. So she was detained and taken in and then arrested. She was also expelled from Texas Tech. This is Andrew Colvett. He wrote on Twitter, I wanted to share a praise report from TPUSA. The organization has received over 32,000 inquiries in the last 48 hours. Okay, so this is more about the reaction, the positive reaction to the loss of Charlie Kirk as opposed to the negative one.
Do you believe, like, what drives me nuts, and you talk about, like, historical revisionism, and they say, oh, no, the political violence is a both sides issue. If it's a both sides issue 10-1, it's not a both sides issue. And the only examples they can give you are Paul Pelosi being struck in the head by David DePop, who I don't even think it was politically motivated, but even if it was, David DePop, people seem to forget, was a Canadian illegal alien, Green Party card-carrying nudist, far-left wacko. Then they go to the Hortman and the Minnesota.
Can we stay on that for a second? I'm guilty of that. And I'd like to admit that I am. I'm guilty of making light of the Paul Pelosi situation. I'm not proud that I did it. But when I watched the body cam footage that was released and all of the weird, hey, his wife's out of town, he's in his underwear, it looks like the glass was broken from inside the house instead of outside of the home. There were a lot of things that made it look, and this is part of the problem with the internet. There was a lot of things that were put on the internet that I bought into that made it seem like it was a gay lovers quarrel. And to me, I'm sorry, I found it funny. I giggled. But I was wrong. I certainly don't want Paul Pelosi to be attacked. There's a difference between laughing at the absurdity of a situation and the circumstances around it and laughing at the murder of a human being. I wasn't laughing that Paul Pelosi got beat with a hammer. I was laughing because he was in his underwear and it looked like he got caught in a gay sex rendezvous.
But also, like, the old expression, like, humor is tragedy plus time. I wouldn't even say I did not laugh at the event. I did say, my goodness, this looks like a lover's quarrel and not politically motivated violence. But he survived with minimal long-term injury, and so you're making light of an assault from which the man survived. It's not the same, and it's not the same as relishing in the slaughter of an individual as a reaction to the event itself. But then, so all I'd say, people made some inappropriate jokes, and it was more contextual than making fun of or encouraging political violence. I'm not even convinced it was political violence in the first place. Then you get Vance Belter in Minnesota, who is a Waltz appointee. They try to say it's a Trump MAGA supporter to try to argue that it's the both sides. What's the other one? January 6th, which was a Fedsurrection. The right has such a propensity to political violence. They need to be egged on by undercover feds.
Yeah, and the only person that died.
Those are the three examples.
Yeah, and who died? And who was the only one that died?
Roseanne Boylan beaten to death by the police, trampled, and Ashley Babbitt summarily executed by Michael Byrd. So there is no both sides to this bullshit. And the fact that there is not and has not been and will not be a violent response from the right. They burnt cities down when a career criminal who held a gun to a pregnant woman's belly to rob
his friends robbed the house.
Died allegedly, by the cop, certainly at the hands of the cop, whether or not it was unrelated. But imagine when people say, yeah, George Floyd was a career criminal who held a gun to a pregnant woman's belly. That somehow is offensive to say, but then you say, well, yeah, but Charlie Kirk said some offensive. He referred to blacks as DEIs.
So one of the things, when it comes to the Charlie Kirk stuff, and guys, tell me if this is your experience as well, the people that are out there enjoying the execution of Charlie Kirk, laughing at it, making fun of it. Those are people who have never actually listened to any of the things Charlie Kirk has ever said.
Not a damn thing.
Not a single thing. What they're saying are things that they heard for other people saying. I would venture to say that 95% of the people on my timeline who have been scrubbed from my timeline, this is the crazy part, after 21 years of being on social media, because I've been on social media since at least 2004, Facebook. I was one of the, that's how old I am, is that you had to have a college email address to be on Facebook, and I was one of the original people. For the first time in 21 years, I've had to unfriend people. It's not because I want them fired, and we can get into that if you guys think that the justification is right for people to be fired. There's Pam Bondi introducing hate speech charges for some of the people celebrating in Charlie Kirk's death. But for me, it was like, I don't want those people in my orbit. And these are people that I've known for 10 years, people that I've respected, people that there's a comedian that I held up here. Like, we didn't agree on everything. He very much didn't like Trump. He'd call him, a dictator and Hitler and all that stuff, but fine. I looked the other way.
Is he the one that had the viral clip that said we finally managed to have a successful assassination?
No, he's not. He's not going viral because he's a guy that works cruise ships. It is what it is.
I said no. I don't know who that comedian was, but I saw that clip and I'm like, too soon.
We always look the other way when we dealt with politics or talked about politics. But when you start celebrating the death of a father, a husband, a son, a brother, someone who did nothing but actually try and rebuild the nuclear family here in the United States of America, and went and was active on college campuses. What I've realized is the people that I'm unfriending, the people that I'm seeing say hateful shit, take a look at what those people have accomplished. Oftentimes it's nothing. And what that made me realize is the people who are oftentimes the loudest in situations like this are often the ones who have nothing to lose because they've never accomplished anything. A lot of the people that are sitting there celebrating Charlie Kirk's death right now will never contribute a tenth of what Charlie Kirk contributed just in that short span that he was debating at that college campus alone. Yep. That day before he got shot in the neck, he had accomplished more than what many people will ever accomplish in their entire lifetimes. So it's a bunch of dorks on the internet who have nothing going on in their lives that find solace and joy in the misery of others, and for some reason the algorithm keeps populating them and putting them in front of you. There's a great deep dive by Chase Hughes. If you have not seen it, it talks all about how this is a psyop and how it's actually not the right versus the left. This is good versus evil. And right now, evil is the one that's putting out all of these things that are popping up on your algorithm. And the best way to defeat this evil isn't by combating it online. It's by embracing your community. That's the best way to get through this. So if you're having a tough time right now, know that you're not alone. I know it's a week out. It feels like there's going to be an ongoing mourning process because even a week out, this is the only story in the news. I'm digging through looking for things for us to talk about on PBD Podcast tomorrow, and it's only Charlie Kirk. And everything else, it feels like doesn't even matter to cover.
Dude, think about, and you nailed it. Like, this overshadowed, think about it. 9/11, I don't care how many years, we're supposed to never forget. As a New Yorker, Rob, I know how invested you are. I know you are. We all have our things. The most unanswered questions, the most, all the stuff that's surrounding, all the mystery, all the lies, all the conspiracy. The flag was half-mast. I love how people are like, oh, for Charlie Kirk, you're gonna... No, it was for 9/11, you dumb idiot, uneducated people like that pastor that was in the church. You put the flag at half-mast. It's unbelievable, and you nailed. What was he doing? This guy was going to college campuses who are infected, brother, the youth, the professors, they are infecting these kids' minds with the woke mind virus. He was literally a traveling vaccine. He would go here and be like, hey, talk to me, I'll give you the facts. He wasn't living in BS, in conjecture. No, here are the facts, these are the stats. How do you feel? And then when he'd bring transgender kids, I saw one transgender, I don't know if it was a guy turning into a girl or whatever, and it was like, it was a respectful one. It wasn't a yelling, crazy. He's like, tell me what's going on. It's like, yeah, you think that I should take drugs? He's like, listen, first of all, my recommendation, and thank you. It was a great report. Let's find out what's going on in here. Has anybody talked to you? Is there any trauma? Is there any? And it was a great conversation, but you nailed it, Rob. Somebody can take what I just said right now and make me sound like I'm like a crazy yelling at transgenders. It's easily cut up, but they don't know. And you're right. It's just cool to get on the bandwagon, but something has to change. By the way, I'm not for arresting somebody for talking bad about Trump. You could do. I'm just happy that they're exposed and we can see it. Firing, that's on the CEO. That's the owner of the company. If I right now started praising the assassin or Charlie's death, I expect Patrick to be like, yo, Vinny, I love you, but you got to go. That's not what the company stands for. That's not what the brand stands for. Like Harvey Levin at freaking TMZ, completely caught with their pants down. Could have just said, honestly, you know what? Yes, they did it, and I'm going to deal with them accordingly. Don't say their names. Don't expose them. You just deal with it. Know that we know that what the hell is going on. But lying about it, that shit drives me crazy.
No. The worst spider is the one that you don't see, all right? So if they clamp too hard, because now we know this guy, he's a maniac. This guy's a maniac. This guy's pro-murder. This guy's pro-assassination. You can spot them. If they clamp it too heavy, the only thing they're not gonna stop thinking like that.
No,
all right, they're just gonna become clandestine, and we stop seeing this crazy guys.
Yeah.
All right, and freedom of speech is not freedom of consequence. All right, like if you work for a company and the company decides to let you go, that's what it is. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm always pro freedom of speech. I think it's safer to see the guys that are talking all this nonsense.
There's been a number of people conflating two issues on the internet, and I'll say either disingenuously or out of ignorance. It's not a Brandenburg level threat, and it's first of all, nobody's talking about criminal conviction for incitement to imminent violence. We're talking about contract law and termination for cause. And so you want to say something stupid, I don't necessarily believe you should get prosecuted for it, but if you're working for someone and it, compromises your ability to do your job, like you're a doctor celebrating the death of a Republican, well, if I'm a conservative, I don't want to get treated by that doctor.
Yep.
If it creates a liability for your employer, it's contract law. It's not First Amendment rights anymore. And so, yeah, no prosecution for saying stupid things. But you sure as hell deserve to lose your job if you signed an employment contract and you are creating a liability for your employer.
I was on a Carnival Cruise Line for a radio promotion. This is 2017. I get food poisoning while I'm on the cruise. From the cruise.
Great.
The only place that I ate was on the cruise.
Great.
I get sent down to the hospital. The hospital refuses to treat me unless I pay $200. Now remember, I'm on a radio station promotion cruise. I get on Twitter because I'm sick, I'm angry, I have diarrhea, very similar to where I was with the Charlie Kirk news. I start tweeting about it. My program director immediately gets a hold of me, and I'm in the middle of the ocean and goes, delete your tweets right now. And I went, no. And he went, if you don't delete your tweets, you're fired. I said, okay. I deleted the tweets. I got back to shore, and I got fired. So there's always been consequences for the freedom of speech. You suffer that. That's the problem with the internet right now, is that a lot of people don't understand it lives forever. One of my closest friends, someone that really helped me process the execution of Charlie Kirk, a buddy of mine named Drew. He's off social media now, but he goes, before he deleted his Facebook page, and we were talking about this weekend, he goes, I was on Facebook. Before I deleted, I was going through and looking at things that I posted when I first started posting on Facebook. And he goes, man, I was an idiot. I had no idea. At one point, he was asking his brother where he could buy marijuana and locating the exact area that they were in and putting that out publicly. This is 20 years ago. But he goes, the internet lives on forever. And the people that are out there that are spouting this bullshit, it's going to continue to follow them forever. So when a girl gets expelled from Texas Tech for dancing and praising the death of Charlie Kirk, and then she's charged with assault, well, she's going to have to explain why she got kicked out of that college to the next college she goes to. The weirdo looking gal that was working at the Office Depot that refused to print the Charlie Kirk banner because it was political propaganda. That woman's going to have to explain why she got terminated from her last job, or at least why don't you have a job, or what happened at your previous job. These people are going to suffer consequences. What I really hope the people on the right side of things, and I don't mean that as conservative, I mean right now, good versus evil, right versus bad. The people that are on the right side of this, who are mourning the proper way, I hope that they don't take actions into their own hands against people who are handling this the wrong way.
I said that it's not a concern you have. Like, not to say that everyone celebrating has nothing to lose, because there's a bunch of professors in Canada, teachers who are celebrating, showing the video to their students. But the people on the right, on the one hand, I genuinely believe they look at these lunatics and say, they're not worth my political violence. I'm not going to jail for some jackass who wants to make fun of Charlie Kirk getting shot on the neck. I'm not going to jail for that. And so people tend to think, like, if you don't resort to violence, you're a sissy. But or it's logical. That sacrifice is not worth me going to jail. They will get what they deserve on this earth and hopefully beyond. But it's not worth it to people who have families, jobs, to go and ruin their lives over an instantaneous moment of self-gratification, as much as they might feel that way, by committing violence against these idiots. And it's just a cultural difference between the righteous and the evil.
So if you like this clip, click right here. And if you want to see more like it, click right here. Stay angry, Patriots.